Certain words which are commonplace in the vegan debate meta are suboptimal for making a clear case and should be cast aside if this is our goal. I'll explain firstly what these words are, secondly, the problem they pose, and thirdly, what a better alternative would be, judging by our goals. Okay, so firstly, what are these words? The words I'm talking about are unnecessary, needless, pointless, possible, practicable, and the like. There are other words like this which are not coming to mind right now, but the category label I'd put on these words would be something like words of vague obligation. Secondly, what problem do these words pose? The problem they pose is that they open up lines of attack for carnists that could be avoided. Take unnecessary. If I say, we should avoid unnecessary suffering, as nice as this sounds, the imprecision of the word unnecessary opens up lines of attack like this. Well, we all cause unnecessary suffering. Do you drive a car or take public transportation? I doubt transit is necessary for your survival. What about luxury items? Do you own a single luxury item, or do you only own the bare bones that are necessary for you to survive? This is a completely valid objection, as much as we may be annoyed to hear it because it hits like a gotcha. Now, if the vegan wants to keep this word unnecessary on the table as part of their argument, they have to define necessity, such that it allows for some suffering, but not other suffering. This can start seeming arbitrary, and it's not helped by the fact that in attempting to ramify their argument against unnecessary suffering, many vegans will take from the far from ideal vegan society definition and say something like, well, we should eliminate whatever unnecessary suffering is possible and practicable. Well, that just made the problem worse. The introduction of additional ambiguous words like possible in what sense, and practicable in what sense, actually adds to the vagueness of the argument. So, bottom line, these words allow the carnist to force the vegan into defining out exactly what forms of suffering are and are not justified, which is, might I say, needlessly complex a task for us to undertake. That's not to say doing so is impossible. You can certainly go this route if you want to, but it is to say that doing so is creating a hurdle for yourself, which you could just not create. So, thirdly, what would be a better alternative? The less cumbersome alternative is to make an argument from logical consistency based on your interlocutor's human moral standard. Instead of tasking yourself with delineating exactly what kinds of suffering are and are not justified, why not simply look at the human context, ask what we are comfortable with, and try to get a justification for all deviations from that standard? For example, instead of slitting animals' throats for a hamburger is unnecessary, why not say, presumably you wouldn't slit a human's throat for a hamburger, so what difference between the beings or the contexts in which they exist accounts for the difference in moral consideration? Now, I can tell you how to deliver this type of argument in greater detail, but that's not really the point of this video. All that I want to convey is that making an argument from logical consistency using human moral value as the starting point gets you around this philosophical thicket of trying to define exactly what you mean when you use these words of vague obligation like unnecessary, needless, pointless, possible, practicable, etc. That's all. Till next time.